Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about the new movie, We Live in Time. If you end up enjoying this video, please consider liking and subscribing. That way I can look half as good as that horse from all the memes for this movie. The synopsis is as follows. Almut and Tobias are brought together by a surprise encounter that changes their lives. As they embark on a path challenged by the limits of time, they learn to cherish each moment of their unconventional love story. So without further ado, let's get into the 6 things that make a movie great. 1. The plot. The movie opens to find Tobias in a bit of a hard spot in his life. When on his way to the store, he gets hit by a car, driven by none other than Almut. This then sparks a love story between Tobias and Almut, and this movie focuses on all the challenges that they face along the way and how they make it work. What the plot does for at least a quarter of this film is it tells the story non-chronologically, so it bounces between 3 or 4 different points in their love story so that you kind of get an idea of how things are going and where things are heading. And then when it stops making sense for them to do that, they tell things chronologically. It was an interesting creative choice, but it did work effectively for this film in the end. I really enjoyed the beautiful story that this movie told. From start to finish, it is funny, it's romantic, it's tragic, it's sad. It just made for a really grounded and good love story. So for me, plot gets a thumbs up. 2 is family friendliness. We Live in Time is rated R. There's a moderate bit of profanity, at least 3 scenes of sexual nudity and 1 of non-sexual nudity. And if you've been around this channel for a while, you know that I think nudity is unnecessary in films because there were sexual scenes in this movie that did not show nudity. And I'm like, you could have just done that for all of it. But instead, you have unnecessary nudity in this film, and it's unfortunate. So for me, family friendliness gets a thumbs down. 3 is acting and script. Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh are 2 of my favorite actors to watch on screen. And so them coming together to make a romance movie, beautiful work. Their chemistry is fantastic on screen, and they both deliver excellent acting performances. This movie is good, but they absolutely carry it with how they acted. And I thought the script of this movie was very well written. I liked how this movie was naturally funny, and I laughed more than once and almost cried multiple times as well. And it wasn't volatile, it naturally progressed to those moments, and that is done with a very well written script. It was mature and it knew how to handle itself, and it seemed to know the inner workings of relationships very well. And when you have a great script accompanied and delivered by 2 excellent actors, that's a recipe for success, and it was for this film as well. So acting and script for me, get a thumbs up. 4 is character development. Character development looks a little bit different when instead of having a relationship in a movie, the movie is about the relationship. Because the plot of this movie is about the relationship, you get to see so many different moments where they're able to choose each other over themselves or change the way that they viewed things based on how the relationship with each other has grown. And I've seen it done this well before, but it's just not that often. All of the different moments of growth that they go through in this movie become the product of funny moments, of very mature and deep moments, and ultimately all very emotional moments. I love the way that they handled the character development in this movie, so for me, character development gets a thumbs up. 5 is visuals and CGI. There's not much to talk about here because that's not why you're coming to see this movie, although I will touch on the fact that visually I think they did a good job with showing the characters at these different points when they were telling that story non-chronologically, because the way that they appear physically indicates where you're at in the story. And it was subtle, but it was done well enough for you to know where you were at so that you weren't lost or confused in the process. And in general, I liked the way that this movie was filmed. I thought the score was great. And the way that the ending of the movie was framed, I thought was excellent. So for me, visuals and CGI get a thumbs up. And 6 is rewatchability. We Live in Time is an hour and 44 minutes long, and because of how actively engaged and invested I was in this love story, it really felt like a great runtime for this movie to have. Pretty early on, some people may have a general sense of where this movie is headed, but the journey that you go on to get there is incredible. In fact, the only thing that affects rewatchability for me is the nudity. To me, it is so unnecessary, especially when they shot sexual scenes without nudity, and it's frustrating because that's stuff that I don't want to watch again. In the absence of that, this was one of my favorite movies that I've seen this year so far. So for me, rewatchability gets a 50-50. With all these areas considered, I have to give We Live in Time a 7.5 out of 10. This movie had some unnecessary sexual nudity that impacted its overall rewatchability for me. But other than that, this movie had excellent acting, a mature script, very very well handled character development, all encapsulated in a very well written and grounded love story that had an excellent emotional tone from beginning to end. I haven't seen a lot of good movies this year, but this was one of them, which for the record is rare because I'm not a huge A24 fan. So with all that in mind, if you enjoy a good love story, you definitely will want to check out We Live in Time in theaters. Thank you so much for watching. If you've seen We Live in Time, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. As always, I appreciate your love and support, and I'll catch you guys and gals in the next one.